musical teachers, and welcome to today's video where we are talking all about my favorite songs to teach Soul Me in my elementary music classroom. For those that are new around here, my name's Rainey Barton. I teach elementary music and middle school musical theater in Central Florida. I've been teaching for, oh God, how many years now? 8 years. I can't believe I'm already at my 8th year. And I created this channel to help you instill a love and appreciation of music into the heart of all of your students. And we do that through lesson tips, ideas, tips, tricks, strategies, all sorts of deals. And so if you're interested in that, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow, and we're almost at the 1,000 person mark, and we are going to hit it soon, baby. I can feel it. If you missed last week's video, I highly recommend that you watch that video before you watch this one, unless you feel like you're a wizard at teaching melody already. But last week, I actually talked about how to introduce melody in the elementary music classroom. Like how to start from the very beginning, starting with like high and low, introducing the staff, and finally actually teaching Soul Me to your students. So I highly recommend you check out that video first and then pop back into this one, because in this one, we're going to actually be talking about different Soul Me songs that you can use with your students once they actually know Soul Me, and like how to play the games and like all that sort of stuff. So watch that one first, then watch this, and then we'll see where we go. There are probably hundreds of Soul Me songs out there. However, I'm going to share 7 that are tried and true in my classroom that I absolutely love. And I'm just going to preface this now. All of these activities are in my Soul Me lessons bundle that I will link underneath this video. You can get all of these, I believe, except maybe one. Maybe I lied. I don't know. But you can get most of these in my Soul Me lesson pack bundle. So if you want like all the slides and all the things that I'm going to share within the next couple of minutes, then please, you can just purchase that down below and I will leave a link for you. But I will also make sure to have all the links for all the things. I just want to make sure I say that now, because I feel like I'm going to say that 500 times in this video. So before I get into the songs, I just want to briefly touch over what I talked about in that Soul Me section of my How to Introduce Melody to Your Students video. Basically, the preparation phase is teaching it as high and low. And then once they know high and low, you switch it to Soul and Me. And there's many ways you can do this. You can do this using a body staff where you have Soul here, Me here. You can use it where you have a human piano where you have your students lined up in a row, and if you tap their head, they have to sit down and they represent Me. You could do visually having high and low icons, either pictures or words on the board, like having Bee Bumblebee, and the kids have to notice like, oh, they're on different lines, hence they must be different notes. You could do orally, where you play a pattern for them on the recorder, or you sing a pattern to them and they have to tell you back what you just sang to them. There are so many different ways that you can do this. You can use stick notation flashcards. You can use soul or staff notation flashcards. You can play games like Poison Pattern or King of the Mountain or Who Has Soul Me. Or you can do centers. You can have assessments where they have their own 5-line staff and all of this. Like I said, I go into this like a lot more extensively in the other video. So like, I'm just trying to whiz through this, but I want to make sure that I address this before I get to the Soul Me section. But there are so many things that you can do to prepare your students for Soul Me. But once they are at Soul Me, here are some really fun games that you can use to review Soul Me. And of course, with all of these, you can add slides to the end of them to like actually see where Soul Me is in the song and like practice that with them. I especially recommend doing body notation with them, because that just always seems to stick a lot better than just singing something if you're actually experiencing it within your body. At least I've learned that with my own students. So the first one that I'm going to talk about that I keep mentioning for all of my examples, so I figured it needed to be first, is Bee Bumblebee. And I learned it as both a chant and a song, and I use it as the song. And so the song, if you haven't heard it yet, it goes like this. Bee Bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout, I declare that you are out. Buzz, buzz, buzz. And so how that game goes, I teach it singing Bee Bumblebee, like notation on my body, and then we will play the game. And how the game, there's different variations of the game, but my favorite game is the students are all in the circle. And I actually have a bumblebee puppet, and I don't have it with me, and I wish I did. But I will do it the first round, and I basically tap the steady beat on all of the students' heads. Or I don't tap it because I can't walk as fast, so I just point to each student in the circle as we sing the song. And their job is to keep the steady beat on their lap, because we're always reinforcing steady beat whenever we can with our little babies. And we're doing Bee Bumblebee, and they're keeping the beat however you want them to do it. I typically will have them do it like this, because they're going to be playing rhythm sticks next, but you can do it however you want. And then the buzz, buzz, buzz at the end, you can do 1 buzz, you can do 2 buzz, you can do 3 buzz. It depends how long you want to play this game for, basically. I just do 3. And so at the end of the song, I declare that you are out, buzz, buzz, buzz. whoever are the 3 students that I point to, they have been eliminated or stung by the bee, and so then they have to go into the middle of the circle. They grab some rhythm sticks out of my bucket, and they get to keep the beat with the rhythm sticks. And so they are our official beat keepers. The other kids are just practicing, and they are keeping the beat. And that's also a good assessment for me to be able to see if they actually can keep the beat, like, because not all can. And so we do that, and I will typically, once we do the second round, keep the beat with the students. But then we keep going like that, and kids keep getting eliminated until finally there's only one kid left, and they are the official, like, bee king, and they get the special job of actually getting to keep the beat with the bee for the next round, next time that we play this. And so eventually all the kids have rhythm sticks. I even let the last kid get a pair of rhythm sticks just so we can play through the song once, so that they all got to experience rhythm sticks. And then the next week in class, we will end up playing it again, but whoever won gets to hold the bumblebee, and they get to keep the beat around the circle and do the game for the students. And they think that is the best thing ever, and they have a whale of a time with it. So I love Bee Bumblebee. It's a perfect game for Soul and me. Like I said, you can just add slides or all of the things to the end of this, and that is always a fun one to do with your students that they will ask for again and again. The next one is Apple Tree, and the whole song is not Soul Me. So for certain songs, you have to extract parts of the song in order to use it, because there's do in this, there's la in this, so I only focus on the Apple Tree actual part of the song, but I still use this for Soul Me because it's a really fun game. And so if you don't know that song by now, it goes like this. Apple tree, will your apples fall on me? I won't cry and I won't shout if your apple knocks me out. And so, like I said, I review the apple tree, will your apples fall on me? I won't cry and I won't shout if your apples knock me out. And I do that with the students, and then we play the game. And there are a couple of different ways. There's many different ways you can play all of these games. This is just the ones that I've done that are tried and true. And so how this one works is I will have all of the students in a circle, and I will have 2 kids start out with being the apples, or the apple tree. And so there are 2 students, and they are like this with each other, and they are making a bridge. The rest of the class has to walk under the bridge, and on the words, will you, if your apple knocks me out, they put their arms down, and whoever they have captured within their little pocket is the next tree. And so then they have to go on, and there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either have them grab another student, and that student just becomes a tree with them, or what I've learned is actually better, because then you're not having kids upset that they didn't get a chance to play the game and that they were chosen to be an apple tree, if they just join the tree currently, and it turns into this giant tree that gets bigger and bigger, and so then more than one student ends up getting stuck under the tree at once, and you catch like 3 or 4 kids by the end of the game. And so that's typically the route I go with it. And then, you know, by the end, you have this giant tree, and like there's a couple of kids that are trying not to get under it. But I do have to reinforce, of course, they're not allowed to run. They're not allowed to be screaming because they get excited, and then they forget that they're singing this game. And in my classroom, I will not sing with them. Once I know the song, I am not. And so if the song goes away more than 3 times, the game is over because they couldn't handle it. And that tends to work really well in my classroom. And my students are like, oh man, we didn't get to play this game because we couldn't stop being silly. And because I'm not going to sing with them. That's how you lose your voice, if you sing over and over and over with them. So when they know it, stop singing. Teacher tip right there. And then basically, that's the end of Apple Tree. That's all that I do with them. And that one, like I said, focus on the soul and me part of it. Don't focus on the other part of the song. The next one is a fun little game that I typically use around Hispanic Heritage Month because it is a Spanish song. I got it from some book that I never remember the name of. But like I said, I'll link everything underneath here so that you can check out this song further. I do have a lesson pack for this. It is called Pala Palita, and it basically means stick, little stick. And so the song goes like this. Pala Palita, palote, palitroque. And so it's basically just saying like stick, little stick. But how this game works is it's really, really simple. You can do this as a class or you can do this in groups. I typically will collect toilet paper rolls for this. You're making a balance with your students because you're going to have 2 kids on either side of the room. And they decide which player is going to be playing for heads and which player is going to be playing for tails. And then they slam down on the one side of the scale so that the coins go up and they fly and they fall. And then all of the heads, like if they collected heads and they get heads, if they collected tails, they collected tails. And then basically you play this until all the coins run out. And the kids, you know, are able to see how many coins they have and see who wins. I have a much better full in-depth explanation of this song and game specifically, and I will link to that video under here because I am just not explaining this nearly as well as I did in that video. So if you want further explanation, there's an entire video dedicated to that. But this one is a super easy one for Soul Me, and it's introducing a song in a different language. So I always highly encourage using diverse songs and from different cultures and experiences with your students in your classroom. Okay, up next is one of my students' favorite songs and games for Soul Me. They have so much fun with this activity, and that is Bingo Bongolo. And I believe I can't remember where I first learned this. I have no idea where I heard this song, but I love it so very much. And basically it goes like this. Bingo, bongolo, up and down and high and low, let's jump into the Dan Bay. And so that last note is do, technically. You could change it and say, let's jump into the Dan Bay. Whatever you want to do if you want to make it an entire Soul Me song. But how the game goes is the students, I will pick like 3 students at a time, and they'll stand behind this line on one side of the room, and on the words, let's jump into the Dan Bay, they will jump. They cannot get a running start. They can't start with one leg, and they jump. It's basically long jump competition to jump as far as they can from one side of the room to the other and see who can get the furthest. And they have to land, though, they have to land on 2 feet at the same time. They can't do like a step. If they fall forward, if they fall down, it doesn't count. Wherever they land, and then I count and I see which kid got the furthest. And sometimes I actually get like a little ruler out and like measure it because they landed at the exact same place. Most of the time it's pretty clear who jumps further than everyone else. And then that student gets to stay around for the next round, and I get 2 more kids up. And then at the end I do like all the boys compete, all the girls compete, and the whole class competes all at once, just for fun. My kids love this game. When I tell you they love this game, they ask for it all the time. They're like, can we play the jumping game, Bingo Bongolo? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? Because we're reviewing Soul Me while we're at it. And so for that one, once again, you can just do body notation, human piano, all the stuff that we've already talked about. And then always you can do flashcards for this as well. Typically, another good way to make sure that you're reviewing Soul Me with your students for the song that you're going to do for the day is when in my warm-up, I have them do melodic patterns, and I will typically have them do whatever patterns we're going to do for the song of the day. And so that's a great way to incorporate it into your warm-up as well. But that one is a great time, and I always have a lot of fun with that one. And we have Starlight, Star Bright. And Lindsay Jervis has the best lesson for this. I will link to her blog post underneath. But she has a whole star day where you do Starlight, Star Bright with them, and you do this little poem with them called 2 Little Stars, and then you do the star dance with them with John Robin, and all this other stuff. And I took a different book though, and I use a different book with my students to introduce Starlight, Star Bright to my students, and so I'm going to explain that here. But that blog post is gold. Definitely go check it out if you want a whole star day lesson. And so, if you don't know Starlight, Star Bright, the song goes like this. Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. Wish I may and wish I might have the wish I wish tonight. And so, I feel like everybody and their mother knows that. I introduce it using the book Good Night Construction Site, which I will post a picture of up here, because it's really easy. Because at the end, basically it's a bunch of construction site vehicles going to sleep, and it'll say like, good night, or good night dump trucks, good night, or good night excavator, good night. And every time it says that, we sing Starlight, Star Bright. And so the kids really get to repeat and hear the song a couple of times before we are playing the game. And this game I got from Lindsay Jervis. She basically has these star wands, a blue and a pink one, which I bought. And she has one barred instrument in the middle of the circle. And she goes around tapping the beat and like practicing the steady beat with the kids. And whoever gets the star, wish I may, wish I might have the wish I wish tonight, gets to decide whether they want to make a wish on the blue star or the pink star. They hold it close to them, they make a secret wish, and then they get to play in the middle, and they are playing back and forth between Soul and me, because I only have 2 bars in the middle. I typically will take off all the other bars if I can to be able to have them play it, and so they're just going back and forth going Starlight, Star Bright, and so they're playing steady beat, and they're also contrasting with their hands, and they're also practicing actually playing Soul and Me, like playing the notes that they are singing, they are doing at that same exact moment. And so it's a lot to assess. And some will be able to do it way better than others. But the whole point is that they want to play an instrument, and it's great practice and assessment for them. And so this one is always a hit in my classroom. My kids have so much fun with this one. And like I said, we do the whole entire activity with like the star dance by John Robin and the 2 Little Stars like finger play and all this other stuff. And I will gladly link to that underneath here because it's always a hit. The next one is a super fun one that I love to do with my students, and it is called Lemonade. And it's it could be a solo and group activity, but I typically just will have half the class sing one and half the class sing the other, and so it goes like this. Here I come, We're from New York. What's your trade? Lemonade. Give us some. Don't be afraid. And so you can do that however you want. I typically, like I said, will have half the class sing the first part and half the class sing the second part. But basically, what you do is, to make this fun, you talk about a bunch of different trades and what a trade is, essentially, how it's a job. And I have little trade cards that they can use, like doctor, vet, I'm blanking on other ones right now. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of any of their jobs? Doctor, vet, teacher, librarian. I don't know, I can't think of stuff right now on the cusp, but it's fine. And the group that is being the first group, they will pick a card together and they will talk about how they're going to act it out. And so then at the end, when it says, give us some, don't be afraid, that half of the class will act out that trade. And the other half has to guess what they are. And then they switch. And then they get to do a trade. And then they get to do a trade. And so they're just doing different trades back and forth. And so it's super fun. They get to see like how the kids think that certain people will act, or like certain trades will do. And it's just a fun little song for them to do. And so this one is always fun with my students. I have an entire lesson pack for this as well, and it's a super simple one that you can add Sol Me to. And then the last one I have for you comes with a book, and it is Brown Bear. I can't remember who wrote that, but Brown Bear, what do you see? And so that one is very simple to add Sol and Me to that book, because you can literally go, Brown Bear, what do you see? I see an orange fish looking at me. Orange fish, what do you see? I see a kangaroo looking at me. Whatever it is. Whatever the pattern is. And so I just sing that song throughout the entire book, and they get it in their head. And then we practice singing at the end with like all the little character flashcards. We'll be like, brown bear, orange fish, kangaroo, blue turtle, or green turtle, whatever it is. And so then you could actually use it as a composition activity as well for either quarter and eighth note if you want to focus on that, or for Sol and Me. And so maybe they're doing different composition activities depending on what it is. But that is a super fun and easy way that you can incorporate a book into your lessons for Sol Me, as well as just anything else. But you can compose super easily. I have composition cards that you can use to do with your students for this activity. And then I talked about this in my last video, but I also use the Doorbell Rang. I don't know who that's by. I know Katie Grace Miller taught me this lesson. But basically, the kids get to play the barred instruments, and on every time he says the doorbell rang, they play ding dong on the instruments. Super easy. Reinforces Sol Me. All that fun stuff. I love incorporating literature into my lessons whenever I can possible. So one more time, the 7 songs we talked about is Bee Bumblebee, Apple Tree, Palita, Bingo Bongolo, Starlight Star Bright, Lemonade, and Brown Bear. And like I said, I'm only going to talk about songs for today. I could talk about a bunch of other activities, but we will be here forever, and I feel like we've already been here forever. And as I also mentioned, if I got any of these ideas from specific people, I will link it underneath this video. I will also link my entire Sol Me lesson pack under here, which comes with slides for all of these, but it also comes with extension activities like worksheets that you can do, and an additional Sol Me game that you can do with each of these, and like all different sorts of stuff. It just has different goodies depending on what the song is. So if you want all of the things already pre-made for you and designed and all of that, then please click and buy under here. And it supports my store as well. But with that, I'm going to let you go, and I will see you in next week's video, where we are actually going to be talking about my favorite Lunar New Year music lesson ideas. Because as I mentioned before, it's important that you are incorporating different cultures and diversity into your music room. Alright, if you got to the end of this video, please subscribe, or please put let's do a bee emoji for Bee Bumblebee, and comment below with your favorite song that you are going to take into your classroom. Or a Sol Me song that I didn't mention that is a contender for your classroom, because I love learning other Sol Me songs myself. And with that, I'll see you guys in next week's video. Bye!